A show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Digicel BVI, Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park, Simply Secure, Gumptions Land and Sea Tours, Nagico Insurances, and Envy Styles, Nail Salon, Spa, and Barbershop.
I take my health seriously. I still make time to exercise at age 62. And I go at it hard. My health and well-being matters to me. No one can do it for me but me. Get vaccinated. Let's fight COVID-19 together. I am Deborah Maddox, Mrs. Classique 2021.
Stop.
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 Think
before you act.
before you act.
Think before you act.
This is The Big Story. I'm Kathy Ray. I just want to thank you so much for joining us for the very first edition for this week. In studio with me is the Chief Executive Officer of TRC, Mr. Guy Malone. It's such a pleasure to see you here, looking so bright, but holding on a tough fort.
Thank you very much, Kathy. It's the pleasure is all mine to be here as the CEO for the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission. We are here to serve you, and that's what is important.
Exactly. This forum mainly is to get the people to come a little closer to understanding the roles, the function, what TRC is all about, where we're going, what needs to be done. So we'll first start off our discourse, getting to know you a little better. Give us some background of yourself as TRC working in the commission for so long.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, do you have all day? I say that to say I've been in telecommunications from 1984. I started in the government service in 1979. Went away and did my first set of schooling, and in 1984 I was the assistant telecommunications officer, and I've had the opportunity to see telecommunications grow. In 2005, the International Telecommunications Union mandated that countries must liberalize, come out of what you call a monopoly market. Mm-hmm. And in that time, we had cable and wireless with the monopoly for landline, and CCC boat phone with the monopoly for mobile services. And we liberalized, the government was responsible for writing what you would call a policy that governs and drives the direction of telecommunication. And in doing so, the Telecommunication 2006 Act that evolved, was passed by the House of Assembly, and that from 2007 until present, I was in the commission working from 2007, I think, until 2012, where I was promoted after interviews to that of Chief Executive Officer for the Commission. So with respect to that, the Chief Executive Officer, his role and functions are to manage the day-to-day operations of the commissions. The functions include the operations and resources of the commissions. The functions of the commission is outlined in Section 6 of the Act, which is to, advise the minister on policies relating to international, regional forums. We manage a spectrum. We are responsible for collecting all related fees as outlined by the Act. We also administer domain names, to name a few. And most importantly, we are there, seeing that we have 4 unitary licenses. We have issued 4 unitary licenses. That's according to the policies written by government in 2005. We are there to ensure that we put customer first and make sure customer have choices, customer are comfortable, customers are getting value for money.
Okay, great. So with that, you are, for that period of time, been working with those 4 main customers. What are some of the dynamics that you would have seen amongst them going through the years?
Going through the years, at the time when we liberalized, we wanted to, the ITU and in telecommunication, you wanted to ensure customers have choices. You had a monopoly service where Cable and Wireless had the monopoly for landlines and internet service and stuff like that. But with respect to that, we couldn't control the way they do business. Mm-hmm. Whereas now when you liberalize telecommunication, you're giving the others choice. Whatever one can do, the others can do. So it's creating competition. Mm-hmm. And competition should drive prices down. Why I say that? Because the Act don't give the Commission the power to control or to regulate the prices. So one of the things I would say to the public, what we do with the operators is we ask them to ensure that if they're going to have a change in price or a change in service, at least 30 days before you roll out that service or you increase or you change that price, you put it out there and let the customers know, giving the customers a chance to look at it, to digest it, to ask questions, because a customer should always have choice.
And so the Commission of itself does not have that power to say, okay, when you're going to do the change in prices, we need to also understand and do some comparison and see if this is a fair market and give advice?
Yes, the Commission, we can't tell them that they can't charge 1 or 2 cents or 3 cents or whatever the case may be, but we say inform the Commission and the customers at least 30 days in advance so that we, the Commission, can ask the right questions, as you just rightfully said, to the operators to ensure that it's the customer at the end of the day get value for money. And when I say value for money, I just don't mean, well, you know, that the price and value for money entails that a customer has a contract with you. You want to ensure that if you tell them you're going to install equipment in their household within a certain time, that's done. Customer has a query, no matter how big, how small, you treat the customer with care. That's value for money. If a customer pay for a service that's, say, up to 10 megabytes of speed, you ensure that the customer is happy at peak time, off peak time, whenever. So the operators have a responsibility to ensure that their customer service base is that of second to none.
Okay, you see a smile on my face when you talk about the up to 10.
Yes.
That's just an example, but that is one of the teething areas for most customers.
Yes.
We look at the 10, but we don't hear the word up to, which means I can start from 1. I can be as low as 1, but I can go as high as X amount.
Yes.
And
so
that is a teething area for most customers right now.
And Kathy, the TRC, the Commission, we hear the cries of the customer, because at the end of the day, each and every person that works in the Commission is also a customer. Yeah. So what we are battling with as we are moving now to renewing the operator's license, we are having conversations and we have to do consultation with respect to the new licenses, having consultation with them to say that if you can't guarantee a 10 meg, at least you should guarantee a minimum.
Okay.
And I won't, yes.
Yeah.
When I say a minimum, so if I use 10 as a figure, then the operator should be at least to guarantee a minimum of 7.5 to 8 at any given time, which is peak time. We say peak time meaning when the services are mostly used. And that's what, because at the end of the day, in the BVI is unique. We are small. I think we have a customer base of between 20 and 25,000. Even though the population may be a bit more 30-something, you find that's the data that we get from the operators is the only data we can't use. We can't make up, we can't envision. We have to ask for facts. That comes to quality of service. We ask the operators for a lot of stuff so that we can, in doing our benchmarking with the rest of the region. I go back to say, when the operator, here in the BVI, the services that the operator have, they have to take into consideration the terrain. The terrain is all the high hills. When you see a tower there, the amount of towers we have here is because as you move across from, say, eastern to western, or towns to or Jos van Dyke to whatever, as you talk on your phone, as you use your phone, it changes as you pass these towers, because the service is line of sight. If you can't see the tower, that's why sometimes the service drop. That's why it's important for the operators to have services in Peter Island. One of the great areas we have when you go west end is we can't put towers in St. John because that's overstepping our territory. So I say that to say the operators has to ensure that their infrastructure is second to none. And that is a challenge we have with respect to when the operators charge a fee to the customer. Anything that the commission mandates the operator to do, and it involves that of monies, that charge is what the operator will put to pass on to the customer. And the commission is very sensitive with respect to that, because with the small community we have, just as I say, having between 20 and 25,000 subscriber base, telecommunication is not cheap. So you'll find the operators, in order to get world-class service, they have to spend a lot of money, taking into account the terrain, the topography of the British Virgin Islands, a beautiful place. But we take that into consideration, and what we are seeking always, not that we don't have, but I'll say a better relationship between that of the operator and the commission. Because at the end of the day, the BVI is a place where we have to attract investors, and people coming to our shows want to ensure that they have first-class service. Because at the end of the day, if you have a downtime, you miss the world. And for the commission, moving forward now in this new era where we're going to be renewing licenses in 2022, we want to ensure that we don't miss it. Because one of the important points, Kathy, is that technology evolves and regulation has to follow. The commission can't write regulation for something that they don't know. We have to see it evolve, so it's important for a person like myself to attend conferences in Europe, because Europe is something like 5 years ahead of us with technology. So we see it and we understand it, and it's my job as a CEO to come back and share it with my team, or take as much as my team as I can with me, but you know, that's an expensive venture. And at the end of the day, I talk expense, and I hope I'm not all over the place. The TRC operates from monies that we get from the operators. The commission is a statutory body. We don't get money from government. We aren't supposed to make a profit. So surpluses that we encounter in the commission at any given year after we have done our budget and work plan has to be deposited to the consolidated, to the treasury. So you'll find that the operators is who we get our finances. So everything we do, we have to do a budget and a work plan, and that has to go through a process as outlined in section 63 of the Act.
And so we want to come back to that juncture where we're at right now, 2022, just on the horizon, and they're looking at renewing of license. It was interesting to learn from you prior to this recording that it has been 15 years. The customers are the operators are given a license that lasts for 15 years. I would not have thought. I would have thought probably it was a 5-year. But during this time now, there are some key things that I'm assuming that you have to
Yes.
look at, because for 15 years
That's a long time.
you've been doing
And-
this way. Now you have to go to another 15 years.
Right, and before I go into it, I'll tell you from lessons learned, 15 years is a long time. And if you remember in 2007 when we evolved, the TRC was came into action, internet wasn't a thing. Internet
Yeah.
took off about 2010. So here we are with regulations that already written, but we don't have what we call the teeth or the power to mandate. Everything that the commission do has a process that's we have to follow by the act. So if we want to make changes, if we want to update the act, revisit the act and make changes as technology, it's a process that we have to go through, a tedious process that involves also the operators. And a lot of the time, I would say this as from, lessons learned of being in the seat for almost 10 years, that the operators, yes, they mean good, but when you say to them that you need to change this to ensure that customer has better experience, better services, they put up what we call defense. They're not going to come running. They're going to put up challenges. So everything takes a long time in order to be enacted. So so now we are at the point where 2022 is the renewal of the operator's license. And we have 4 operators. We collected applications for 2. We went through a process. But to get to this process where we at, 3 years ago, we had to inform them whether we would be doing business the same way or whether we wouldn't be renewing their licenses. What we have said to them 3 years ago is we wouldn't be doing business as usual because it involves the government to look at the policy they have, whether they will rewrite it, whether we would go along with the same policy, whether we would make changes to how much you involve. We have 4, and we have to take into consideration that those 4 operators over the last 14 years has made great investment. So we have to look at, with respect to the licensing application, we went through processes where we did what we call a compliance audit of all the operators, and including the TRC. We had to ensure that we are doing things right when we work with the operators, when we regulate them. So now that the operators are presenting us their licenses, I said there are 2 who are coming up because all of them wasn't given a license at the same time.
Oh, because I wanted some clarity.
So you
on
find
that,
May 25th was a year before CCT and that of Cable and Wireless, because those were the 2 first people in the market.
Okay.
They had by the 25th of May 2021 to submit the application.
Oh, okay.
And I must say on camera that they were on time, and we are now reviewing the application, and it's a process we have to go through. And one of the things that I think you would have heard the chairman say, that we will be looking at their licensed application and they have to be in compliance. One of the main things, they must be in total compliance when it comes to doing business or renewing their licenses. So I don't want to say the wrong thing, but we have been working with the operators because as we said, we went through a process where we did a compliance audit with all of the operators to tell them, hey, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. There are times, there are specific timelines that you have to produce certain things, data to us, quality of service reports. All those things ensure that you adhere to customer and the customer complaints are dealt with in a particular manner. All these things, having certain professionals employed within your organization. The commission has just employed a director of compliance so that that person can also keep us, the commission employees, in line along with the operators and the way they do business, the way they not only do business with the commission, but do business with operators and the likes to ensure that we have world-class service and people get value for money.
Okay, and so when is the deadline for the other 2 operators? That's Digicel and Flow, I'm taking
No,
it?
it's BVI Cable TV and Digicel.
Oh, okay.
So it's June, one is June and one is December.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they have already, because everything we do, we put out online. And I must say at this point, we have just revamped our website, www.trc.vg. I will ask people to visit that because all the information and more that I'm talking about is on our website. The licensing application, all the stuff and the way we do stuff, it's there. It's a friendly website. I'm excited about it. And all that stuff is there. So going back to the licensing renewal, as I said, 2022. So we're going through that process now. And then what we have to do now is we have to look at what's very important is the license agreement that we have between the commission and the operators. Is unique to each operator.
Oh, okay.
Because some they have unitary license, but some concentrate on
different things.
And we want to ensure, one of the things the commission has to ensure that they're not colluding, meaning that they're not talking to each other and fixing prices in order to disadvantage customers. So we have to look at these things. We have to know of the different prices, the different packages, to ensure that we don't have what we call collusion. We don't have, that's why we came out of a monopoly, whereas we don't want a duopoly where it's with two operators. It's easier to do that. At that point, it was best done after economic study that 4 were viable to withstand in a small population of the BVI.
Okay, so let's switch gears quickly now to broadcast license. Explain your role with broadcasters.
Yes, we at the Commission, we have a responsibility to regulate the broadcast license. We are the ones that issue the license. The Premier's office, why I pause, because in the past it was communication and works.
Yes, it's easy to stay back
so
there.
now it's under the Premier portfolio, so the Premier's office is responsible for what you'll call content.
Oh, okay.
So we work with the Premier office to ensure, because it has to be transparent with respect to ensure that whatever is done, it's done in the right way. The Commission can be sued, so we have to be very careful how we do our business. I cannot be prejudiced with respect to, I may not like this person, and for that, no, I have to do my work with respect to the Act, the codes, and the licenses. Is very important because the licenses outline, and that's why we have to get in this new era of renewing licenses in 2022, 2023, we have to ensure that we get the licensing agreements. We have to get it perfect. So I have a dynamic team employed within the Commission, or legal people, or compliance people, or spectrum people. All those are technology people. They are looking at different. We have just been approved by the board to hire a regulatory consultant who will come and assist with ensuring that we get these things right. Because once it's done, you can't just say, this should have been a T instead of an I. You have to go through a process to change that T to the I. So we have to ensure we get it right.
Okay. So what was the time frame? What's the life of a license for broadcasting?
Broadcasting, we do. In the Commission, we are mandated now to rewrite the regulations for broadcasting, because the regulations for broadcasting has been there for a while. So now we see, whereas we now have to come up to, to be on the cutting edge of technology. So broadcast license renewed every year, and it's done on a board date. If you get that to a license today, next year at this time, and we have to go through and monitor, and we have to evaluate everything that the person who has been given the license to ensure that they're within regulation. The regulation that's in place now is what is under the Chapter 171. That's the old set of regulations, and those been in place from 1960 something.
Okay.
So we now have to renew the new licenses to give us more teeth. We are negotiating with the government side, because as I said, the government, which is the Premier, who is the minister responsible for the subject, he is responsible for selecting a board. So the board oversees the day-to-day operations of the commission to make sure myself and all the staff, we are doing things right. The way the Act gives the board a lot of power with respect to how the operation is run, the things we do, and how we do it to ensure that at the end of the day, the government overall and customers and the likes are getting, again, value for money.
Okay, so we can safely say as we wrap up that there are likely to be a number of amendments to go forward in the House of Assembly when it comes to licenses for both your for the communications and broadcasting.
Yes, it's a process and we are now concentrating on that of the licenses for the operators, the service providers, and when we get that done and complete, then we will put our focus towards broadcasting, radio broadcasting.
All right. Mr. Malone, it was really a good discourse, enlightening as well. Lots of information there.
Thank you.
That for some of us we did not know of, and for some of us it's a refresher. Big shoulders. Holding that fort as a CEO going on 10 years is no ordinary feat, and we want to thank you for the job you've been doing. Don't get weary in well doing. We know it's not an easy go.
I thank you, Kathy, and I must say I have a dynamic set of staff members who, you know, as a close-knit, one of the things I say to the staff is that most of the day we spend with each other, so let's have each other back, let's work with each other, and let's try and complement each other to work in the best interest of ensuring that, as I call it, we do, you know, the overall objectives of the commission are met. And I want to end by saying the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission is here to serve you, the public. Thank you.
All right, great. And the doors of JTV are always open and welcoming to you on this set, The Big Story. And I want to thank you at this juncture for joining us for this edition of The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards.